Have you ever met someone who felt like they were carved from your very soul, only to discover that being with them was impossible? Imagine encountering someone who ignites every fiber of your being, someone who speaks the language of your deepest desires and understands parts of you that you've never shared. But despite this connection, you have to walk away. It's an exquisite pain, as if the universe placed them in your path not to give you what you want, but to show you something far more profound about who you are meant to become. This encounter isn't accidental. There's a mysterious force operating behind the scenes of your life, orchestrating experiences that seem cruel on the surface but carry within them the seeds of your deepest transformation. Carl Jung, the brilliant Swiss psychologist, understood this better than anyone. He knew that the most intense encounters of our lives, especially those that cause us the most exquisite pain, are often the most transformative. When you look into this person's eyes, you're not just seeing another human being, you're seeing a reflection of something that exists within you, something that has been dormant, waiting to be awakened. This person is like a magic mirror that reflects not who you are now, but who you have the potential to become. And that's exactly why the connection is so intense and simultaneously so impossible to fully experience. The magnetism you feel isn't just physical or emotional attraction. It's the recognition of a part of yourself that you haven't fully developed yet. It's as if two souls recognize a common origin, a shared language that transcends words and touches directly the heart of your being. But here's the paradox. You cannot possess what already exists within you. You can only awaken it, cultivate it, and allow it to flourish. What you're experiencing is what Jung called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that point to a deeper order in the universe. This person appeared in your life at precisely the moment when you were ready to evolve, even if you didn't know it. They are the catalyst, the divine irritant that forces the pearl of your authentic self to form. Without the pressure, without the impossibility, without the sacred wound, there would be no transformation. The intensity of your feelings for this person is directly proportional to the magnitude of the change that awaits you. The greater the pain, the greater the potential for growth. This isn't cruelty, it's compassion in its most mysterious form. The universe is showing you what's possible when you fully embrace who you're meant to be. Carl Jung, the psychologist who explored the depths of the human psyche, believed that nothing in our emotional lives happens by accident. When we meet someone we can't be with, someone who awakens our soul, we are not facing a cruel twist of fate, but an invitation to transformation. This isn't about romance, it's about the universe using another person as a key to unlock the deepest parts of our own becoming. When you meet someone who resonates so deeply with you, but circumstances keep you apart, it forces you to confront something deeper, the potential within you that has remained dormant. Jung discovered through decades of study that the human psyche has its own wisdom, an intelligence that operates beyond our conscious understanding. The psyche doesn't just process experiences, it actively seeks wholeness, what Jung called individuation. Every encounter, every relationship, every heartbreak is part of this deeper process of becoming who you truly are. Think about this. If you could have this person, if everything were easy and without obstacles, would you grow in the same way? Probably not. Ease rarely produces transformation. It's the tension, the impossibility, the exquisite pain of having to choose between what you want and what you need that creates the necessary friction for soul growth. Unfulfilled desire isn't punishment. It's a gift in disguise. It's the universe saying you are capable of so much more than you realize, but first you must discover what that more is. The longing you feel for this person is actually your soul's longing for its own completion. You're not missing them. You're missing the parts of yourself that they represent. Jung understood that desire is the engine of transformation. When we want something deeply, we are moved to action, to change, to growth. But when that desire cannot be fulfilled in the conventional way, we are forced to look deeper. We must find another way to satisfy what our soul is truly seeking. And what your soul is seeking isn't this person. It's the qualities, the energy, the potential that this person represents. This is why forbidden love has been the subject of countless stories, myths, and legends throughout human history. From Tristan and Isolde to Romeo and Juliet, these tales speak to something universal in the human experience. They represent the soul's journey toward wholeness, the necessary suffering that precedes transformation, the death of the old self that must occur before the new self can be born. The pain you feel isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to remake you. Every moment of longing, every surge of desire, every pang of loss is sculpting you into someone more authentic, more whole, more truly yourself than you've ever been before. The person you can't have is the artist, and you are both the marble and the masterpiece. Jung's theory of projection suggests that we see in others what we cannot yet see in ourselves, but in this case, the projection is not about seeing our fears or shadows. It's about seeing our highest potential reflected in someone else. The person you can't be with carries a piece of your own wholeness. They aren't here to complete you. They are showing you what you're capable of becoming. This intense attraction you feel is your own unrealized self calling you toward growth. You are being shown who you can be, not through possession, but through recognition. Projection is one of Jung's most profound insights into human psychology. Most of the time, we unconsciously project our unresolved issues, our fears, our traumas onto others. We see in them what we refuse to see in ourselves. But there's another kind of projection that Jung called positive projection, when we see in someone else our own divine potential, our own unrealized greatness. This person who has captured your heart so completely isn't just attractive to you because of who they are. They're attractive because of who you are. They embody qualities that exist within you, but haven't yet been fully expressed. Their confidence reflects your own untapped confidence. Their creativity mirrors your own dormant artistic abilities. Their spiritual depth echoes your own unexplored mystical nature. Think about what specifically draws you to this person. Is it their passion, their intelligence, their authenticity, their courage, their ability to love deeply? Whatever it is, that quality exists within you, waiting to be developed. They are not the source of these qualities. They are the mirror that shows you what you already possess. Jung called this phenomenon recognition. When you meet someone who embodies your highest potential, there's an instant recognition, a knowing that goes beyond rational understanding. It's as if your soul is saying, yes, this is what I'm capable of, this is who I can become. The attraction isn't really about wanting to be with them, it's about wanting to become them, or rather, to become the version of yourself that they represent. This is why the connection feels so profound and yet so impossible. You're not meant to merge with this person in the traditional sense. You're meant to integrate what they represent into your own being. They are showing you a path toward your own wholeness, your own self-actualization. The tragedy and the beauty of this kind of encounter is that it reveals to you who you can be, but it also shows you how far you still have to go. The gap between who you are now and who you could become is what creates the longing, the pain, the seemingly impossible desire. But this gap is also your greatest opportunity for growth. The intensity of your feelings for this person, the way they bypass your defenses and speak to something ancient and primal within you, reveals something profound. Your soul is using this connection to wake you up, to remind you that you are capable of loving more deeply, of experiencing emotions more authentically. The love that you feel for them is not meant to complete you. It is meant to reveal to you that you are already complete, but perhaps not yet fully expressed. The question is not why the universe brought you someone you cannot have, but what this person's presence is trying to teach you about yourself. Jung understood that the process of individuation, becoming who you truly are, is often painful. It requires us to confront parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding, to integrate aspects of our personality that we've rejected, to embrace our full humanity with all its contradictions and complexities. The pain you feel when you think about this person isn't just emotional pain, it's growing pain. It's the discomfort of a soul that's expanding, of a heart that's learning to hold more love than it ever thought possible, of a mind that's grappling with new possibilities and potentials. This person has shown you what it feels like to be fully alive, to experience the full spectrum of human emotion, to love without reservation or protection. Before you met them, you might have been living in a kind of emotional hibernation, protecting yourself from deep feeling, because deep feeling always carries the risk of deep pain. But now you've been awakened. You've tasted what it means to be fully human, and there's no going back. The completeness you seek isn't something that can be given to you by another person. It's something that must be discovered within yourself. This person has simply shown you what that completeness looks like when it's fully expressed. They are living proof that it's possible to be authentic, to be passionate, to be fully alive. And if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. Jung believed that we are all born whole, but we spend the first half of our lives learning to fit in, to belong, to meet others' expectations. In the process, we often lose touch with our authentic selves. The second half of life, according to Jung, is about returning to that wholeness, about integrating all the parts of ourselves that we've cast aside or forgotten. This person who has entered your life is a herald of your second half. They are announcing that it's time for you to become whole again, to embrace all of who you are, to stop hiding your light under a bushel. The pain you feel is the pain of birthing a new version of yourself, a version that's more authentic, more integrated, more truly you. The love that breaks you open is not the love that destroys you. It is the love that shatters your illusions about who you thought you were. When you encounter someone who touches the deepest parts of your being, but remains just beyond your reach, you experience a sacred kind of heartbreak. It's not about petty disappointment or unfulfilled desire. It's about recognizing something within yourself that you've been avoiding. Jung understood that the most powerful experiences often come disguised as losses. The person you can't be with has cracked open something within you, awakening a capacity for feeling that you may have forgotten you possessed. This heartbreak is different from any other you've experienced. It's not the heartbreak of betrayal or abandonment or rejection. It's the heartbreak of recognition, the painful acknowledgement of who you really are beneath all the masks and defenses you've constructed over the years. Jung called this experience the transcendent function, the psyche's ability to bridge the gap between conscious and unconscious, between who we think we are and who we really are. This person has activated your transcendent function. They've shown you aspects of yourself that you'd forgotten or never fully developed. Maybe you've always been practical and logical, but this person awakens your romantic, poetic side. Maybe you've always been cautious and controlled, but they bring out your spontaneous, adventurous nature. Maybe you've always been independent and self-reliant, but they show you what it means to be vulnerable and open to love. The heartbreak comes from realizing how much of yourself you've been keeping locked away. It's the grief of recognizing all the years you've spent living below your potential, all the opportunities you've missed to be more authentic, more passionate, more alive. But this heartbreak is also a gift. It's breaking your heart open so that more love can enter. It's shattering your small, safe identity so that your true self can emerge. It's destroying your illusions so that you can see reality more clearly. Jung understood that psychological growth often requires a form of death and rebirth. The old self must die for the new self to be born. This heartbreak is your death, the death of who you used to be. And in that death, there is also the promise of resurrection, of becoming someone more whole, more authentic, more truly yourself. The tears you cry aren't just tears of sadness. They're tears of recognition, of awakening, of coming home to yourself. They're the tears of someone who has been asleep, finally waking up to the beauty and terror and wonder of being fully alive. This awakening is not meant to torture you. It is meant to liberate you from the smaller version of yourself you had settled for. Before meeting this person, you may have been living a life of quiet desperation, accepting relationships that were comfortable but not transformative. Then this person appeared, and everything changed. They showed you the difference between loving someone and being in love with the mystery of existence itself. You now understand that love isn't just an emotion, it's a state of being, a way of perceiving reality. The love they triggered within you was not meant to be dependent on them. It was meant to teach you that you are capable of a deeper, more authentic love. Jung believed that true love is not about finding someone to complete you, but about finding someone who inspires you to complete yourself. This person has done exactly that. They haven't filled a void in your life. They've shown you that there was no void to begin with, only unexplored territory within your own soul. The love you feel for this person is different from any love you've experienced before. It's not possessive or demanding or conditional. It's a love that asks for nothing and gives everything. It's a love that sees the divine in another human being and recognizes that same divinity within yourself. This is what Jung called conscious love. Love that doesn't seek to possess or control, but to appreciate and honor. It's love that doesn't need to be reciprocated to be real, love that doesn't diminish when it's not returned, love that exists simply for the joy of loving. Before you met this person, you might have thought love was about need, about finding someone to take care of you or someone to take care of. But now you understand that real love is about recognition, recognizing the beauty, the worth, the sacred nature of another human being, and allowing that recognition to open your heart to all of life. This person has taught you that love is not something you fall into, but something you rise into. It's not about losing yourself in another person, but about finding yourself through the experience of loving. It's not about becoming dependent on someone else for your happiness, but about discovering that your capacity for love is one of your greatest sources of joy and strength. The love you feel for this person is actually love for life itself, love for the mystery and wonder of existence, love for the incredible complexity and beauty of human consciousness. They have simply been the doorway through which you've entered this larger love. Jung understood that the highest form of love is what he called agape, unconditional love that asks nothing in return. This is the love that heals, that transforms, that makes us more than we were before. This is the love you've discovered through your encounter with this person who remains just beyond your reach. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, requires isolation. But this isn't a depressive isolation. It's a sacred solitude, a time for inner retreat and self-discovery. The person you can't be with was never meant to be your forever. They were meant to be your mirror, reflecting back to you the parts of yourself that you've neglected or never fully developed. The intensity of your attraction to them was not about needing them. It was about your soul recognizing its own potential. Now it's your responsibility to take the lessons they taught you and apply them to your life. The love you felt for them was actually love for your own unrealized potential. This process of self-discovery and growth will be the catalyst for your true transformation. Individuation is Jung's term for the lifelong process of psychological development and self-realization. It's about becoming conscious of who you really are, integrating all aspects of your personality, and living authentically from your true self rather than from the personas you've created to fit into society. This process often requires periods of solitude, times when you withdraw from the world to go inward, to explore the depths of your own psyche, to confront your shadows and embrace your light. The person you can't be with has initiated this process for you. They've shown you what's possible when someone lives authentically, and now it's your turn to discover what authentic living looks like for you. The path to wholeness isn't easy. It requires courage to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It requires honesty to admit where you've been living below your potential. It requires persistence to continue growing even when growth is uncomfortable. And it requires faith to trust that the process will lead you to something better than what you're leaving behind. But this path is also the most rewarding journey you'll ever undertake. As you begin to integrate the lessons this person has taught you, as you start to embody the qualities they reflected back to you, you'll discover that you're becoming more yourself than you've ever been before. You might find that you're more creative, more passionate, more willing to take risks. You might discover that you're more compassionate, more empathetic, more connected to others. You might realize that you're more spiritual, more connected to the mystery and wonder of existence. Jung believed that the goal of individuation isn't perfection, it's wholeness. It's about embracing all aspects of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the weaknesses, the beautiful and the broken. It's about becoming fully human in all your complexity and contradiction. This person who awakened your soul was the beginning of this journey, not the destination. They showed you what wholeness looks like, and now it's your responsibility to cultivate that wholeness within yourself. The feeling that something is missing from us is deeply human. We all search for something or someone who can fill this void. The idea that our happiness or completeness depends on another person is a limiting belief. But what if I told you that you are already whole, and that the reason you feel incomplete is simply because you have never allowed your true essence to be lived? Jung believed that the answers to all our deepest questions were not outside but within us. The person you can't have isn't here to complete you, but to show you where you are still looking for something that already exists within you. The emptiness you feel is actually the fertile field where your true identity must grow. By accepting this, you begin to live a life of authenticity and personal power. The myth of completion is one of the most pervasive and destructive beliefs in our culture. From childhood, we're told stories about finding our other half, about someone who will complete us, about love as the solution to all our problems. But Jung understood that this belief actually prevents us from becoming whole. When you believe that someone else can complete you, you give away your power. You make your happiness dependent on another person's presence in your life. You stop growing because you're waiting for someone else to provide what you think you lack. You become half a person looking for another half, instead of a whole person capable of sharing your wholeness with others. This person who has awakened your soul has shown you the fallacy of this belief. The completeness you feel when you're with them, the sense of being fully alive and authentic. This isn't something they're giving you. It's something they're inspiring you to find within yourself. Jung's concept of the self, with a capital S, refers to the totality of who you are. Conscious and unconscious, developed and undeveloped, expressed and unexpressed. The self is already whole and complete. The work of individuation is about aligning your ego, your conscious identity, with yourself, your true nature. The emptiness you feel isn't evidence that you're incomplete. It's evidence that you're not fully expressing who you are. It's the space between your current self-expression and your full potential. It's not a void to be filled by someone else. It's a garden to be cultivated by you. When you understand this, everything changes. Instead of looking for someone to complete you, you begin the work of completing yourself. Instead of trying to possess someone else's wholeness, you begin to develop your own. Instead of being half a person looking for another half, you become a whole person capable of authentic relationship. This doesn't mean you don't need others, or that relationships aren't important. It means you enter relationships from a place of wholeness rather than need, from a place of sharing rather than taking, from a place of love rather than fear. Every meaningful encounter with another person not only teaches us something about them, but about ourselves. When someone awakens intense emotions in you, good or bad, this is a reflection of the qualities you have not yet recognized in yourself. Jung called this the shadow, the part of us that contains everything we have been taught to repress. Our fears, unresolved desires, parts of us we don't want to see. The person you can't have is the perfect mirror of your shadow. She reflects qualities that you have within yourself, but cannot or will not accept. When you walk away, you are not just distancing yourself from her. You are being invited to look inward and confront these unresolved aspects. It's painful, yes, but it's the path to true healing. Accepting your shadow is accepting who you are in your totality, and that's the first step to becoming whole. The shadow is one of Jung's most important discoveries about the human psyche. It's the repository of all the aspects of ourselves that we've rejected, denied, or repressed. These might be negative qualities like anger, jealousy, or selfishness, but they can also be positive qualities like creativity, sensuality, or spiritual power that we've been taught to suppress. The person who has entered your life and awakened such intense feelings in you is likely carrying aspects of your shadow. They might embody qualities that you've always admired, but never developed in yourself. They might express emotions that you've always felt, but never allowed yourself to show. They might live with a freedom and authenticity that you've always desired but never had the courage to claim. The intensity of your attraction to this person is often proportional to the size of the shadow aspect they represent. If they embody creativity and you've suppressed your artistic nature, you'll feel powerfully drawn to them. If they express anger and you've always been the nice person who never gets mad, you might find their passion both attractive and terrifying. Jung understood that we cannot become whole without integrating our shadow. We cannot be authentic while rejecting parts of ourselves. We cannot love fully while denying aspects of our humanity. The shadow doesn't disappear when we ignore it. It gains power and influence over our lives in ways we don't consciously recognize. This person who mirrors your shadow is offering you a gift, the opportunity to reclaim lost parts of yourself. But this integration isn't easy. It requires courage to face what you've been avoiding, honesty to admit what you've been denying, and compassion to embrace what you've been rejecting. The pain you feel when you think about this person isn't just about missing them. It's about missing the parts of yourself that they represent. The longing you feel isn't just for their presence, it's for the wholeness that comes from integrating all aspects of who you are. As you begin to recognize and integrate these shadow aspects, you'll find that your attraction to this person may shift. Instead of needing them to express these qualities for you, you'll begin to express them yourself. Instead of projecting your unlived life onto them, you'll begin to live it yourself. The ego is the construction of our identity that we want to show the world. It is formed by life experiences, by interactions with others, and by the stories we tell about who we are. But the ego is also a mask, and behind this mask, there are the deepest and most authentic aspects of being. When we meet someone who challenges us, someone who makes us question our deepest beliefs and our behavior, it is the ego that feels threatened. The ego doesn't want to change, it wants to stay safe. But as Jung teaches us, we cannot evolve while we are trapped in the image we have created of ourselves. The person you can't have is there to reveal these limitations, to show how you have been limiting yourself throughout your life. The pain you feel is the ego's resistance, fighting to maintain control. But what you are losing is the opportunity to free yourself from the bonds of the ego and become something more true, more deep. The ego serves an important function in our psychological development. It helps us navigate the world, form relationships, and create a sense of identity. But the ego can also become a prison, limiting us to narrow definitions of who we are and what we're capable of. Jung distinguished between the ego and the self. The ego is the center of consciousness, the I that we identify with. The self is the center of the total personality, including both conscious and unconscious elements. The goal of individuation is to establish a proper relationship between ego and self, where the ego serves the self rather than trying to control it. The person who has awakened your soul represents a challenge to your ego's control. They've shown you possibilities that your ego hasn't considered, ways of being that don't fit into your carefully constructed identity. This can be threatening to the ego, which prefers the known and familiar to the unknown and transformative. Your ego might tell you that you're not the kind of person who feels such intense emotions, who takes risks for love, who allows themselves to be so vulnerable. Your ego might insist that you're practical, rational, in control, and that these intense feelings are somehow beneath you or dangerous to your carefully maintained image. But the self knows better. The self recognizes that these feelings, this awakening, this disruption of your comfortable identity is exactly what you need to grow. The self welcomes the challenge because it knows that only through challenge can you become who you're meant to be. The pain you feel is often the ego's death throes, its resistance to the transformation that the self is calling for. The ego would rather stay small and safe than become large and authentic. It would rather maintain control than surrender to the mystery of growth. But Jung understood that we cannot individuate without moving beyond the ego's limitations. We cannot become whole while remaining small. We cannot discover our true nature while clinging to false identities. This person who challenges your ego is offering you a precious gift, the opportunity to discover who you are beyond your masks, beyond your defenses, beyond your carefully constructed persona. They're inviting you to be more real, more authentic, more fully yourself than you've ever dared to be before. Individuation for Jung is the process by which a person becomes truly themselves. It's not about adjusting to society's expectations, nor about becoming something others want us to be. Individuation is about accepting the totality of who we are, without fear, without shame. And the encounter with this person, someone you can't have, is directly related to this process. When you distance yourself from someone who touches deep parts of your soul, you are not losing. You are being guided to a new phase of self-discovery. The pain you feel is actually the signal that you are breaking with the limited version of yourself. This process is a rebirth, where you begin to integrate all parts of your personality, not just the ones you consider good or acceptable. True freedom comes when you accept yourself completely, including your shadows, imperfections, and unexplored potentials. Individuation is perhaps Jung's most important contribution to psychology and human development. It's the process of becoming conscious of who you really are, beyond the roles you play, the masks you wear, and the expectations others have of you. This process typically unfolds in stages. In the first half of life, we're focused on developing our ego, establishing our place in the world, building careers, forming relationships, and creating identities that help us fit into society. But at some point, often triggered by a crisis, a loss, or an encounter like the one you've experienced, we begin to question whether the life we've built is truly our own. The person who has entered your life represents the beginning of your individuation process. They've shown you that there's more to you than you realized, that you're capable of feelings and experiences you never imagined. They've cracked open your carefully constructed identity and shown you glimpses of your authentic self. The pain of separation from this person is the pain of birth, the birth of your true self. Just as physical birth requires the destruction of the safe, enclosed environment of the womb, psychological birth requires the destruction of the safe, enclosed environment of your false identity. Individuation requires you to confront and integrate your shadow, the parts of yourself you've rejected or denied. It requires you to move beyond the personas you've created and discover your authentic self. It requires you to differentiate yourself from the collective expectations and find your own unique path. This process is not about becoming perfect or achieving some ideal state. It's about becoming whole, embracing all aspects of yourself, the light and the dark, the developed and the undeveloped, the beautiful and the broken. The person you can't have has initiated this process for you. They've shown you what wholeness looks like, and now it's your task to develop that wholeness within yourself. The love you felt for them was actually love for your own potential, your own possibilities, your own unrealized self. As you continue on this path of individuation, you'll discover that the person you're becoming is someone you could never have imagined when you first began this journey. You'll find capacities within yourself that you never knew existed, depths of feeling and understanding that surprise and delight you. Loving someone you can't have can be one of life's most difficult experiences, but the paradox is that this love can be the most liberating of all. Love doesn't need to be possessive. It doesn't need to be defined by conditions or expectations of control. True love, as Jung understood, is that which allows us to be free, which doesn't seek to fill a void, but rather to honor the other person as they are, without trying to change anything. The person you can't have is there to teach you this. They are not yours to be possessed, but they are yours to be admired, respected, and most importantly, to be a source of learning about your own capacity to love without depending on reciprocity. This love is not about possessing someone. It's about freeing yourself from attachment and living fully. When you love authentically and detached, it's as if you're liberating not only the other person, but yourself as well. The love you feel for this person who remains beyond your reach is teaching you the difference between attachment and love, between need and appreciation, between possession and admiration. True love, Jung understood, is not about what you can get from someone else, but about what you can give, what you can appreciate, what you can honor in another human being. This kind of love is revolutionary because it asks nothing in return. It doesn't demand reciprocity, commitment, or even acknowledgement. It simply exists as a pure expression of your capacity to recognize and appreciate beauty, truth, and authenticity in another person. When you love someone this way, you free them from the burden of your expectations. You allow them to be exactly who they are without needing them to be anything else. You appreciate their existence without needing to possess their presence. You honor their journey without needing to be part of it. But more importantly, this kind of love frees you. It liberates you from the tyranny of need, from the prison of attachment, from the suffering that comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. When you can love someone completely while letting them go completely, you discover a freedom that most people never experience. Jung called this conscious love, love that is aware of itself, love that doesn't unconsciously project needs and expectations onto the other person, love that recognizes the divine in another human being and responds to that divinity with appreciation rather than acquisition. This person has taught you that love is not about finding someone to complete you, but about expressing the completeness that already exists within you. They've shown you that love is not about getting your needs met, but about giving freely from the abundance of your own heart. The love you feel for them is actually love for life itself, love for the mystery and beauty of human existence, love for the incredible capacity of the human heart to recognize and respond to truth and beauty wherever it appears. They have simply been the doorway through which you've discovered this larger love. As you continue to develop this capacity for conscious love, you'll find that it transforms all your relationships. You'll become someone who can love without clinging, appreciate without possessing, care without controlling. You'll discover that the greatest gift you can give to anyone is the freedom to be themselves, and the greatest gift you can give to yourself is the freedom to love without conditions. As you begin to understand that the person you can't have was actually a catalyst for your own evolution, you begin to realize that healing doesn't come from their absence, but from your own presence. The pain you feel when being pushed away, having to distance yourself from someone who touched your being so deeply, is the pain of a growth process, and this process is healing. You already possess everything within yourself to be complete, but you first need to accept yourself in all your aspects. When you understand that true transformation begins within you and not in another person, you begin to free yourself from expectations and conditioning that surround the search for love and external validation. True healing comes from accepting that you are already complete. The journey of individuation is the journey of accepting the fullness of who you are. And this process is just beginning. Healing is not about forgetting this person or pretending they never mattered. It's not about numbing the pain or building walls around your heart. True healing is about integrating this experience into your understanding of yourself and your capacity for love and growth. The pain you feel is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is right. It's the sign that you're alive, that you're capable of deep feeling, that you're connected to the mystery and beauty of human existence. The pain is not the problem. The problem is believing that you need to get rid of the pain in order to be okay. Jung understood that psychological healing often requires us to go through our pain rather than around it. We must feel it fully, understand what it's trying to teach us, and allow it to transform us. The pain of loving someone you can't have is trying to teach you about your own capacity for love, your own worth, your own completeness. As you sit with this pain, as you allow it to be present without trying to fix it or change it, you begin to discover that you are stronger than you thought. You begin to realize that you can feel deeply and still be okay, that you can love fully and still be whole, that you can experience loss and still be complete. The acceptance that healing requires is not passive resignation. It's active embrace. It's saying yes to your experience, yes to your feelings, yes to the journey of growth that this encounter has initiated. As we come to the end of this journey, remember this: the people you cannot have, the relationships that seem impossible, are not punishments or cosmic jokes. They are invitations to deeper self-awareness, to explore the parts of yourself that have been waiting to be seen and embraced. The pain you feel is not a sign of defeat. It is a signal of your own growth. You are not incomplete because of what you lack, but because of what you have yet to recognize within yourself. This is the path of individuation, the path to becoming whole, authentic, and fully alive. The key to your transformation lies not in what you can possess, but in what you can let go of. When you stop being available for the approval and validation of others, everything shifts. The love you feel, the lessons you learn, the pain you endure, it all serves as the foundation for your next evolution. Embrace the journey, trust the process, and understand that you are not meant to be controlled or defined by anyone or anything. You are meant to become the fullest version of yourself. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to embrace the power of your own transformation, take the next step. Like this video, share it with those who need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more insights into self-discovery, growth, and empowerment. Don't miss out on future videos that can help you unlock the secrets to living your most authentic life. Click the bell icon so you never miss an update, and join this community of individuals committed to becoming their true selves. Remember, your journey is only just beginning. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.